My father was an engineer and a lawyer, worked for the government his whole life. And he had a little group that used to buy land out in Silver Springs. I was born here. And I remember driving by, I was 12 years old, and driving by a site, and I go, that's a great place for a shopping center. And he said, oh, it's too swampy. And 2 years later, it was a big shopping mall. And the first shopping mall ever, in this region. I just always knew I wanted to be a developer. I was very interested in retail development. We were really under-retailed in this market and growing very quickly. So I had tied up a regional mall site out on what was 95, but it wasn't built yet, on a JV, and I had to form a company, so I formed Western. And I made my cousin, who's a doctor, an officer, because I needed some officers. I went and formed it myself. My father was a lawyer. He showed me how to go fill out the form, because I didn't have the money to hire a lawyer, so I filled out the form and formed the company. And I needed a company to work on that property. Then I had, or Mazza Gallerias, I was dealing with Mazza, and I needed a corporation. So I took that under Western Development. And then I had a site off of, another site off of 95 that I was trying to get zoned, and I formed Western for that, to build a community shopping center. So, all when I was a junior in college, or maybe a senior. No, I was out of college. So I was just out of college when I formed those. In 1971, I built the first condominiums here. It was actually a conversion. We bought townhouses for $17,000 each. And I'll tell you, it was the first time we did it, we misspelled condominium. So. You learn from everyone. I mean, especially the old pros. And my lawyer, who unfortunately passed away at a young age, was named David Schwartz, and he was about the finest person I ever knew. And he was as much a mentor as anyone I had ever dealt with. He cared about people so much and did everything he could to help someone. And integrity was his, what it's about. I mean, if you don't have integrity, what do you have? And it's hard, because real estate industry is not always filled with people that are the most honorable people. And so it's hard to stay honorable when you got people around you who are not that way. And I've had my share, and it's been painful. Probably the worst ones are the internal partners, not the external partners. But I don't want to go into that. You have to understand value, or you have to understand money. That's what Jerry Wallman's brother said to me when I was 21, and it probably hadn't changed very much. But you have to assume, I think it's what, everything's going to go wrong, so you're never disappointed. So you basically have to figure out, be smart enough when you hit a wall to turn and which way to turn. And you have to never quit. Even though you may get bloody and your forehead may be bleeding hitting the wall, you've got to never quit. So, but you better start with the right concept or project, because sometimes you never quit, and when you're finished, you got a pile of crap. So you better get the right concept, understand the market related to it, and just keep pushing. And you'll be so surprised when you push where the soft spots are. But believe, I don't care what you're in, whether you're starting a tech company or real estate. If you don't believe in what you're doing, nobody else will believe in you. So. My kids. Beyond that, Career. I probably invented more retail concepts than anybody alive today. Jim Rouse is dead, so. And I understand the consumer, I think, and I understand where they need to be and how to package stuff for the consumer. So I think that is really important. You know, also I invented the condominiums in this region. I invented mixed use in most projects from Mazda, you know, when I was at 24 all the way to Gowery Place, to Georgetown Park, to Washington Harbor. That took 27 years, and I studied that when I was in urban planning school. And 27 years later, I opened it. So nothing comes quickly. It's good, unfortunately. So making a better city, making it better for the people that live here, to me is important. And I think I did a lot of that. I think retail has problems. One, we doubled the amount of footage in 15 years in this country because the boxes never went in the malls, so we have double the amount of footage. Well, consumption went up from 65 to 72%, and it's back down to 65. Probably lucky it would stay there. It's probably, I don't know where it is, but you would know. But at the same time, the internet, which is a very efficient distribution system, has been able to take 46% of hard goods or some number. I mean, I don't know, you would know. Very high percentage of books. It's almost, I mean, there's not a book retailer in trouble. Borders is out of business, and Barnes & Noble's in trouble. And then you constantly look at it. I have a 16-year-old, and she buys half her stuff on the web. You know, Rue La La and some of these sites you wouldn't even know. You're too old for that. And more and more sales will be done on the internet. Now, a lot of brands, again, vertically integrated, a lot of brands have their own websites, so they need stores, but there's too much footage of retail in this country. DC actually is under retail. And Walmart's coming and Target, but DC's under retailed. Most of the big cities that have wealth are under retailed, but the suburbs are a mess and over retailed, and most areas in the country are over retailed. So I don't see that. I see it getting to be a problem. I could see maybe economy picking up again, but I think they need to take regional malls and add more boxes to them and make those things more powerful rather than add more footage to new centers, because I don't think a lot of places deserve new centers. And then you've got the whole thing of overbuilding because you have constant market share going to the web. So you double the amount of supply, consumption goes down, and the web's taking market share. Now tell me what you think happens to the retail industry, retail development industry. I think it's got to be very careful, and it's got to be in places where it's under retail, like DC, like New York City, like Boston, metropolitan area, which is under retail. But you know, 5%, 10% of America is under retail, the rest is over retail. One of the funniest stories, Alvin Peck was another one of the brokers. And Alvin Peck had a lot of money and made a lot of money in real estate. And I remember I come into the office and the receptionist isn't there, and there's some guy sitting there with a white suit and a beard, and I go, gee, that's Colonel Sanders. And I go, are you being helped? He said, I'm here to say Alvin Peck. I go, okay. So I go back to Alvin, I said, Colonel Sanders is out front waiting for you. And I thought it was a joke, and he said, oh yeah, I'm buying a couple franchises for Georgia and South Carolina from him for my son. I go, holy shit, that was Colonel Sanders. You know?
Two drifters off to see the world. There's such a lot of world to see. We're after the same rainbows in, just waiting round the bend, my huckleberry friend. Moon River, I